Welcome to everyone. My name is Gretchen Hunt, and I am the Executive Director of Emerge Kentucky. And at Emerge Kentucky, we have a singular focus. We want to increase the number of Democratic women from diverse backgrounds across Kentucky who serve in office in this Commonwealth. And so today we are capping off our inaugural Why Emerge series of conversations with our incredible alumna and supporters. And I am just so excited today to be joined by a friend, a former colleague at the Kentucky Office of the Attorney General, an all-around incredible leader, Secretary of the Personnel Cabinet in Kentucky under Governor Beshear, my Emerge alumnus sister and my former sister in the Kentucky Office of the Attorney General, Secretary Gerina Weathers. So Gerina, welcome to this series. And we would love to just let you introduce yourself a little bit to our group and let them know more about who you are.
Hi, thank you, Gretchen. And Gretchen, it is so good to see you. Got a beautiful person at the helm of this, so it's good to see you. And yes, my name is Gerina and Gerina Weathers. And my home was actually Long Island, New York. And what brought us here to Kentucky decades ago was twofold. One would be the military with Fort Knox. All the men in my family mostly are all military. And then my mom and I came here for her to work in the factories of Philip Morris. So that's where she was for several years. And I am a product of politics, I guess you could say, the arena of it. When you come from a family, African-American family that's been very, very active in the 60s. There are baby boomers. So I'm a product of that in addition to the 70s when forced busing started all over, especially here in Jefferson County. And we have been part of that process ever since through NAACP, Urban League, and other big, beautiful voices that talk about what's so important in the community. So I went from there and went to public schools here in Louisville, Kentucky, graduated from Pleasure Ridge Park High School, go Panthers. And went to U of L and through political science. It was actually also a music major. And in the back of my mind, I always wanted to go into this arena. Didn't know if I was going to do law, but I did. But I worked for 10 years, was at Bellarmine University through as assistant dean there. And from there, somehow I ended back into law school, but went to law school. And it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And I will say this, part of this was actually being able to go to DC. I've been to DC several times, even growing up, but was lucky enough to be there when Romano Mazzoli was there as congressman here. And it was a life changer for me when it came to politics itself. So, and then from there, got out of law school and worked over there in circuit court as one of the clerks and with one of the judges. And then from there, I actually started my career in criminal law. And that's where I was for almost 10 years in Jefferson County. It started with the regular docket of criminal law, which I loved. And then I ended up being in the specialty unit of domestic violence and sexual assault. And from there, I ended up going to Frankfurt, and it has been interesting ever since. I guess we followed each other's footsteps, Gretchen. I headed up the victims, Office of Victim Advocacy at the Attorney General's office. And then from there, under Governor, then Attorney General Andy Beshear had started a brand new program. We started from scratch. That's the Office of Senior Protection that I headed up. Absolutely loved it. That was that engagement of being able to be not just part of the process with the community, but also what politics really means, what it means for women, what it means for people of color and the disenfranchised, especially our senior group, which is it's going to make up a big portion of who we are in 2025. And then from there, it has been a beautiful evolution of being able to have the opportunity to work with Governor Beshear as the Secretary of the Personnel Cabinet. And so we've got about 174 of us. We deal with our first responders, take care of that with workers' comp. We also take care of our Kentucky Employee Health Insurance Plan for 6% of the population in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We've got a huge IT group, and we're the ones that take care of the policies and procedures for all state government, which makes up over close to 28,000 as far as the executive branch for the state government. So I have a beautiful 23-year-old finishing up school, and she swears that she will never go into politics, but I don't know, that's all she has been taught. She's very involved. We both went and voted together as mother and daughter since she's here because of COVID. And I just have a beautiful family. I'm very blessed and excited to be here. So hopefully
Well,
that
Secretary Weathers, you have a fan following that I know is tuning in this afternoon, but what a remarkable career and what a storied journey, as you talked about through your family's history of both relocating here, being shaped by the events that happened, but also shaping the events that happened.
right.
So I'd like you to talk a little bit more about when you felt that spark of being a leader. Whether it's a little girl or whether it was when you were a young woman. You already alluded to working with Congressman Mazzoli. Talk to us a little bit more about that, because I think a lot of the women who I've interviewed through this had that spark at some point. And tell us about that.
I will say, Gretchen, that the big part of it is my mother. Lost her at a very young age. I was 21 when she passed, but she and my family has always said that it's not about us. This life isn't about us. What we do isn't about us. We're here for a bigger purpose, and that's to serve people. And I don't know what it was, especially in middle school and on into high school, becoming the class president, and I don't say that in an arrogant way, but the ability to be able to help people and to be able to articulate movements that we need to go. Where do we need to go from here? How do we create? How do we make this life better? And it has always been something that I've wanted to do. And I'll be honest with you, Gretchen, I'm not quite sure if I've ever saw it until recently as leadership. It is a responsibility. And it's just this yearning. It's the excitement of being with people. I mean, it's good and bad. And being able to say, Governor Beshear always says it, how can we leave something better than what we found it? And so it started early. And then being able to process that evolution into college and believing that I was actually going to play in the Philharmonic. That is what I went to school for. I mean, I don't know, being in these small rooms, and I still love music, but it became a job and something that I don't know if it was going to pay the bills either. I wasn't quite sure, and not saying anything negative about musicians because I love it. But politics, there was this drive of being able to take the helm and make a change. And I saw it in so many people as I grew up, especially women, the aunties and the mothers and the matriarchs of my life and matriarchs across the country, even historically. So we had I had a good way of finding out what that really means. And you got to have a drive for it. It's what I say. You got to have a love for it. And why in the world would you want to do anything in your life that you don't want to do? I just, and so that helps. So when people say, gosh, what drove you? I was like, some of it's a little natural phenomenon that happens that we're blessed enough to have. The other part is that I've been blessed to have people around like you, Gretchen, and other people, other women that that are there side by side to make things to change. So it's a process, but it's also something that's just, it's there. And it's there if you do it for the right reasons.
And my apologies to viewers. My laptop is on a little fritz, so I'm on my phone. So you'll see my hand poking in to unmute myself. So my apologies, but we're rolling with it. So And Secretary Weathers, and I will continue to call you that because even though you are Gerina, that
Yes.
title is really important. And it's just so remarkable to see more women in positions of leadership. We could still see more, but it's good that you're in there. And I really want to just say that your description of that yearning and leadership as responsibility is just really compelling in the way that you talk about having other women who both have influenced you. And I know you have held up many, many other women. So I want to pivot then to talk about Emerge. So, how did you first find out about Emerge? How did you decide to do the program? Tell us anything that you enjoyed about the program. Just talk to us about your decision to come into the Emerge network.
Well, I had heard quite a bit about Emerge, especially with another, just a good friend of mine, Allison Cox Taylor, who is a alum, and we were lucky enough to work together, Gretchen, in Jefferson County. I don't know what it is about us, but there's a kindred spirit there about people, about the authenticity that comes from her. So when she started to talk about it, because I have a tendency, to be honest with you, to shy away from a whole lot of organizations and programs that aren't in the benefit of people. They may say it, and then, what do they say? Actions is everything. So she is the one that said, I'd like for you to at least check it out, Gerina. And I'm like, okay. So as I always do, did my little research, and it's not just the power that Emerge Kentucky has, but it's the power that Emerge has all across the country. And somehow they've Emerge has created a culture of being able to weave all of the information of politics and women and bring it together to have a very specific strategic way of women being elevated to certain positions. And that's what I found out about Emerge. It's one thing, it's great because you have to come with the understanding that you love politics or love just the arena of leadership and being able to make a change. The other part is, how do you get there? It's just like how we grew up. It's one thing to really want to do something, I don't know, long lasting, but it's the other part of really understanding the realities of how that works. And that's what I got from Emerge, the realities of not only how it works, but how do we get there? And it's not all roses, and that is okay, but you've got to have a plan. Emerge Kentucky has a plan. It's a strategic element of how they fit things together. And it also gives you the ability, they gave me the ability to create this mirror of sorts for myself. And I love being 51, by the way. When I turned 50, I realized, I was like, hey, I really don't have to do anything that I want to do. And because money is not a drive, but you got to figure out what is going on here, because I'm halfway through my life and I don't have any problem saying that. I think it's great because the other part of it, you can let go. But Emerge made you say, ask the question, Gerina, what are you going to do now? You've got the ability, you've got the strengths. We're going to help you with these weaknesses or challenges that you may have. But what is it that you're going to do for the next 5 years and the next 10 years? And I'll be honest with you, the first couple of classes, I'm like, I don't know what I have all this. Well, Emerge doesn't let you just get away with that. So when you do say it, it was the nice part about it is that, your 2-minute stump speech and things like that. But the nice part about it is they will, at least the women that I've met, will go in and say, that sounds nice, but what is it really that you want to do? And so let's figure out how to get there. Where do you live? What is the area that you're looking into? If you're not looking at different areas of politics, where do you want to land? So we can look at that. So it gave you those avenues. It gave you that strategic plan that you need to do. So you won't just run around in circles. How many beautiful women have you met? And after you meet them, you're like, what in the world? Where have they been all our lives? I mean, well, because maybe they haven't had the opportunity to do this. And the other part of what Emerge Kentucky has done is that because that is what my love is. You have to hone in to not just women, but women of color, disenfranchised, because everybody needs to be at the table for many, many reasons. And so that's why you have Senator Georgia Powers in Jefferson County, May Street Kid. I mean, I grew up with these beautiful historic women. And then you went about 20 years ago when we start seeing some women of color, African-American women going into the judicial realm, Judge Clayton, Judge Martin. And then all of a sudden we had this dry spell. Well, Emerge came in the past several years, and it's like, it's open for everyone. So then you start seeing this whole just surgence of the Representative Attica Scott. And then, oh, we got our colonel that's coming in. I just can't wait. Isn't that great? She's awesome. Who's an Emerge alum. And then Judge Goodwine, it's in Court of Appeals, and Judge Clayton and everybody. So this is because the strategic arenas that Emerge opened up to women such as those, or such as me. So I don't take it lightly. I'm still learning from it. And it's been a couple of years. I'm still learning from Emerge because it's so much information. It also makes you decide what are you going to do? I mean, what are you doing with your life? So that's what
I
I
love
get from
how,
Emerge.
yeah. So no, I love how you have summarized all of it. You've always had a gift with words and with communication and the way you bring it all together. And you are right. The Black women who have made up Emerge's history are very remarkable. And so, the names are really important and we need to know those names, Colonel Pamela Stevenson, representative elect, who will be coming in, joins Representative Scott as the second Black woman serving in the legislature. And that was after a dry spell of 20 years after Representative Eleanor Jordan, who led in many leadership roles, including
That's
Commission
right.
on Women. And so, that is absolutely a really big part of Emerge's story. When we talk about the mission being recruiting women from diverse backgrounds, we mean that. We mean rural and urban women. We mean women who may be first generation immigrant,
Yes.
Black women, Latina women, Asian women who often are not at the table. So one of the things we find is that, and that I think Emerge is good at, is that we break down those old boy networks and we create more of those pathways and we create more of those networks so people do get invited. Because just as you said, there are a lot of women out there who are incredible. And I would say a lot more women of color and women on the margins who are not often seen and need to be pushed a little bit more forward into the public facing roles. So what advice would you give to women out there who may have not seen themselves in political spaces right now and are saying, well, I don't know if that's me. There are systemic barriers. There are differences if you're running. I talked to a woman today who's a rural woman. And if you're a rural woman of color, that may be even more challenging. What would you say to those women who are on the fence or thinking about, do I step into this path of maybe running for office?
Well, and I know that I'm in what we call an appointed position, and which has been just really, really wonderful to be able to see both sides. Of course, we've got the other alum who's just fantastic, who's second in command there as Lieutenant Governor. But I would say that I'm going to pull a plug in Emerge Kentucky. Give Emerge Kentucky a chance. If there's anything that's driving you, be authentic and just take the first step, and then the other steps will come. You don't have to know everything, but we know now more than ever. If we have decided that our life revolves around not just about us, then it's time to make different changes. And the only way that we can do that, it starts with me. We are, because that we have a tendency as caregivers and as women, and I'm not just talking about mothers, I'm talking about aunties and matriarchs that, you name it. My mother was a matriarch, not only in our family, but she was the same way at Philip Morris. So it's already there. it's just a part of the fabric of our lives and who we are. Now it's just time to move forward. And now we see it all over the country that I'm going to step into what was created for me. And the only way that you can do that is have programs like Emerge Kentucky to kind of give you, and you don't, and I'll be honest with you, Gretchen, I'm not going to say that I at first agreed with everything. But then I realized is that what I have to emerge is setting the tone, is giving you the opportunity to figure out these options. And that's what I love, just that excitement of other alums and people who were part of the program going to, that's the other part. The advice is to get to know the state. I mean, and once again, I'll say it as African-American woman, I've been here a long time and I know, I know how I felt in the 70s. There were some things that happened, Gretchen, some things that had happened back in the day with me and civil unrest. This is not downplaying anything. The civil unrest is part of who we are. And it's time for us to be able to work together to figure out what that means. So you have to know your state. You've got to know the Commonwealth. You've got to know that there's 4 million of us. You have to know that it's just not Jefferson County. You've got Eastern and Western Kentucky. You've got, there's so many places all over all over this Commonwealth and the history of it that will share with you where we go. In the Jefferson County Attorney's Office, there's a lot of history with the first African-American Jefferson County prosecutor that was there and how that worked through the fabrics of not just her life, but politics and how it all ran together and how. So I just said, my advice is to take a deep breath and just, if it is even a question, then take your own suitcase and run with it. I mean, just run with it because the whole world is your oyster, especially now. And Emerge Kentucky can guide you in those places. Because I love it. There were times when I heard someone say in Emerge, no, that's not what you want to do at first. I mean, when we were all talking, like, not sure if that's the arena, but maybe we'll get there. But there's a process that we have to look at first in order for you to be successful, because being successful means being able to be in a position to help somebody else. And Emerge can do that. Emerge can do that. So.
That's such a good way of putting it, because we do give women, we give each other really honest and constructive feedback. It is, you've described it, having been through the program myself and now having the privilege and the honor to serve as executive director. It's not an easy process. It's not an easy journey. There is a lot of pushing and uncomfortable places, but I think it makes us tougher and stronger. And that true measure of respecting one another is giving that honest feedback and pushing further. We are so proud of that network that keeps growing. We have 251 women serving. I haven't even done the tally, but I know we have a number of Emerge women serving in high positions in the current administration. We have 36 women serving in office, 35 on the ballot right now. Do you, so you are serving in a high appointed position, whether or not you want to share with us, do you still consider that you may be open to running sometime? And I know I'm putting you on the spot. It's not fair to throw that one at you.
I'll never say never. I say it all the time. The man that is running this state is just a brilliant individual and a good person, and has given his leaders the opportunity to, he definitely sets the tone, but he's given us the opportunity to really make a mark to help people and to be able to do things differently. So we know that those opportunities are going to be there for this administration and who knows to come, but there will be an opportunity to really take what I'm learning and maybe really considering one day to step out there and see what's to come. So I'm not going to never say never, but right now I'm very happy of where I am.
Well, be sure to tell the governor I'm not recruiting you away. He would not be happy with me. He's been a friend to Emerge from the start. So please,
Yes.
let the governor know we're not stealing you away right now. But you've talked about your breadth of knowledge of the state. So I definitely hope you have a run in you. And we just really wanted to showcase where you have taken this leadership path, because I think it's a wonderful example of the different ways that Emerge women both are appointed or elected and are serving the Commonwealth in really profound ways. And just the number of lives you're impacting at the personnel cabinet, the number of lives I know you impact in all the outside work that you do and the volunteer work, which you haven't even touched upon, but I know you do a lot with your faith community. I know you do a lot in the community here. So any final things that you would like to share about encouraging women, Black women, other women to step up, or any final thoughts before we wrap up and let folks know how they can apply for this year's class of 2021?
I will say, Gretchen, that I remember now coming full circle with Romano Mazzoli, Congressman Romano Mazzoli. I mean, gosh, 18 years old. He said it, and then I heard it again in one of the Emerge classes. He said that when you walk into this arena of politics, don't leave yourself at the door. Bring your personal experience, who you are, what you do, because that's what will make a change. I'm celebrating 20 years of cancer survivorship this year. But what I've learned through research and being able to be part of this is that healthcare is very, very important, especially when we're looking at women of color, disenfranchised, separately. And so you have to bring all of that with you in order to make you be the best person that you can be through Emerge. And that's what I will say. And it's so important, because what we do is, because Gretchen and I we learn from one another. So we learn about where do we go from here. A lot of people don't realize I've been part of politics all my life and didn't know it, and now to be able to pull all of that together and bring your personal, who you are and what you do, because that's what makes you. Your history makes who you are in order for you to create another history for somebody else. And Emerge can do that. So I encourage, especially women of color, we're making up 12% of the population here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, because a lot of people say, why are we always doing that? Why are we always separating? It's not separating, it's appreciating and enhancing those who don't have a voice. And so we pull all of that together in order for us to progress and move forward together. That's how we do this. And that's what Emerge does, because I love how Emerge Kentucky, there is no, it's a good non-filtering process. So they're not going to kind of make things look pretty. They're going to share with you what's out there. And that shouldn't be intimidating. That should be a lot of fun, because you should find your piece and how you fit into this puzzle in order for us to move together and do it. So, and Emerge Kentucky can do it. Emerge Kentucky can do it.
You keep saying things that we're going to put on t-shirts. I'm only half kidding, but you've had many pithy quotes that capture the spirit of Emerge in such profound ways. And, I just want to say, you talked about, Black women being 12% of Kentucky's population. 29% of our graduates are women of color. We can still move that up. And also for women from marginalized communities, you've mentioned women with disabilities, LGBTQ
Yes.
women, women who have different lived experiences of growing up in poverty or being working class right now, first generation immigrants. We know that those diverse perspectives are just going to make us stronger as a Commonwealth too. So it's the lived authentic experience, but it's also really good insights that help us to be resilient. I mean, now more than ever, we see that both the disparities of the pandemic, but also the possibilities that are there. A colleague of mine is in tech, which is obviously not my ballgame probably, maybe it is yours, mine. But she said even in artificial intelligence, they're realizing you need more diverse people at the table to come up with the technology solutions for the future of work, and the future of this Commonwealth. So it's absolutely a value that we hold. Um, well, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule on a
Well, thank
Monday.
you.
I know
Appreciate
that
you.
it's a busy week. We have election day tomorrow. We're very excited here at Emerge. We hope you tune in as well, Gerina.
Yes.
We have a fun week ahead. We have Friday where we're honoring and celebrating the 35 Emerge Women on the Ballot with our Emerge Victorious event that we would encourage everybody to check out and go to. And I do want to just, Megan, if you can show the slide. First, I want to thank you, Secretary Weathers. So
Oh,
thank you, thank
thank
you,
you,
thank you for
Gretchen.
being on. You've just made such a great case for why folks should check out Emerge. So if you are inspired, you've heard from Secretary Weathers, and definitely check out all of our alumna. So her bio, as well as the bio of our 250 Emerge alumna, are on our website. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's where we share events, interviews like these, other information. Please do consider applying for the class of 2021. So our applications are open right now for our signature training program for candidates. And it is a 6-month training program. We'll start in January, end in June. And so we're accepting applications right now. Be sure to check that out. You can become a sustainer if you are inspired and you want that world that Gerina has talked about, where we have diverse women, women who are problem solvers, who are incredible leaders already, that they are serving at every table. Consider becoming a supporter. And just, we just want to thank everybody for tuning in. This was our first series of this, and really our alumna and the women who are going to come in the future are the lifeblood of this organization. And we are a small organization, but we are a large and mighty network, and that's due to our alumna. So thank you again, Secretary
Oh,
Weathers.
thank you,
And
Gretchen.
we're just so excited to see you again, albeit virtually. We hope to gather in person, and God willing, we're able to get to Frankfurt, and we'll maybe get to visit you and other Emerge alumna who are in
Sounds
Frankfurt.
good.
So thanks to everybody for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you again in the future. And remember to support Emerge.